It's super hard to find quiet time in our house, so this is taking longer than we thought it was going to take.
Definitely is.
So now we're going to talk about when we first brought Jenna home from the hospital. And I guess it was kind of scary because she felt like breakable.
Very small.
Very small, and she'd already had like injuries, and it just made it a little more nerve-wracking, I guess. So when we first got her home, we didn't want to let her out of our sight. We weren't sure, we were like,
she was always needed to be in the room that we were in.
Yeah, so we moved her bassinet to the living room, and within an hour of being home, she had her first big blowout.
Great way to introduce us.
Little did we know then.
We have been changing diapers for 21 years.
Yes, 21 years. But she still had a big bump on the side of her head right here, and they were concerned that it was growing. So a growing skull fracture is not good. It means that there's still some bleeding happening and some swelling. They would send out a home health nurse with a tape measure, and she would measure the diameter of the bump from the skull fracture. The other difficulty was gaining weight. Mm-hmm. She was so little, so at 2 months old, they had us start introducing rice cereal, and she seemed to really like that. It got everywhere, but she did pretty good with it. The other part of feeding that was difficult was nursing her. I remember I was home a lot by myself because Craig was still working 2 jobs, and I was trying to get into the hang of being a new mom and knowing what I was supposed to do. It was a little intimidating. But I remember when I would nurse her, sometimes she would like pull off really fast, and then her back would arch, and she would shake her head really, really fast from side to side. And the milk would come streaming out of her nose while she was doing that. And it scared me because it looked like she was choking, and I was afraid that she was not going to stop and something really bad was going to happen. The doctor said that she looked like she had reflux, and so we chalked it up to reflux at the time. And also the growing skull fracture turned out to be A-okay.
Yep.
Or they had her go in for another image, and the image came back fine. So no growing skull fracture.
Yeah, so you know how like when you get a bruise, it looks worse as it's getting better? The same thing happened with her skull fracture, and it just like the swelling from birth started going down, and it actually made the bump look even bigger. But the blessing was it was healing as well.
Yes. She loved bath time. She had like a frog kick, so her hips would just fall open a lot, and I don't know if that was because of the congenital hip issues that she had, but they would just fall open. And so when she was in the bath, we would put her on this mesh sling that would just elevate her head, and the rest of her would be like on the bottom of the tub, and we'd just let the water run, and she would froggy kick, and the water would swoosh out.
She gets so excited.
The other thing that she loved from early on was music. She loved the tinkling sounds of the mobile above her in the crib. The mobile it was like bears floating on clouds that would go. She really liked that. The crib, we got a lot of great support from family. The crib came from Craig's mom. She found it secondhand, and I remember that there were little gnaw marks on the top. And
from some toddler who was teething.
Some former owner, and I just wondered, oh my gosh, maybe someday, Jenna will leave her mark on this crib also.
She left her mark in other ways.
I guess the other thing that she loved was swing, so she always loved to kind of be in motion, except for the car. She was not really a fan of car rides.
No, car ride was not going to calm her down and help her sleep.
Swing was good, car not so much.
And she would get in the swing, and then she'd tilt her head back and cock it to the side, and she would fall asleep.
I like to put little clips in her hair from early on.
You did not have to wait to put hair barrettes in. She already had like 4 inches of hair.
Yes, and she stayed small for a long time. interesting for us because we were one of the first of our friends to have a baby. We had a couple others. Everybody still wanted to do the same things, and we were like, wait, but we have Jenna. And so our lifestyle definitely changed, and we were kind of trying to figure everything out.
Didn't go out much.
No, I think the one thing that was a little bit concerning was people seemed to be shocked by some of the injuries that she had, the bleeding, the brain injury. Would it have lasting effects? Would she be okay? She seemed like she was okay. It seemed like maybe, once we got past the injuries, she might be able to, develop and grow. But
we really didn't know.
We didn't know. Early on, it was hard to tell.
But as a parent, I don't think you can actually fully prepare or fully figure out what to expect, especially with a child coming home that had the traumatic birth that Jenna did. But it was wonderful. It definitely made us go from being 20 years old to responsibility very fast. But it was definitely a blessing.
And we'll get into a little bit more of the development challenges and the things that we did early on to try and help her with that in the next video. So stay tuned for that one.
See you next time.
And see you next time.
Bye.